Welcome everyone to another episode of Around the Edge. Tom Allis, broker owner here at Edge Home Finance. Got a cool guest with me today, Mr. Blake Rogers, senior loan processor, also managing director of the Rogers household.
Yeah, something
might
like
have to check with Wendy on that one, but we had Wendy on a couple of weeks ago, so it was really good to hear her story and how I think you were the one that helped her get into the industry, right?
Yeah.
So definitely want to hear about that, but really want to hear about your journey as well. Like, when did you get into the industry? Where are you from? Are you from Minnesota? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey into the mortgage industry.
All right. Well, I was born in Wisconsin, but very quickly came over to Minnesota when I was probably 5. Raised in the southern suburbs, Apple Valley, Rosemont. Graduated from Rosemont. Let's see. I was probably 19 and I got a job in collections on the phones, and I was very humbled to have the job, so I was trying to soak all this information in, became really good at it, and then I got scouted by Wells Fargo as a temp, and they said, people that are good at collections can be good in processing, and I was like, oh, working for a bank, there's no other, better opportunity.
Right.
And that was probably 20 years ago, so the rates were real low in the 3s, 4s then. And so they were hiring hundreds of people a month. 2 days of training, right on the floor, and I just hit the ground running and just killed it. I was top 1 or 2 every month out of 500 processors in the office.
So 2003 is when you got in?
Let's see, about that, yeah, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Whenever the rates were really, really low. And
I think the rates didn't get really, really low, though, until 2020. 21. But that's my opinion. I guess it all. The 2003 era was the era of subprime. But Wells Fargo was a big player because Wells Fargo used to be on the broker side as well, too. So were you processing for broker, or were you processing for their retail division or their banking divisions? Do you remember?
It was retail.
Retail?
Yeah, I didn't come over to wholesale until I came to Edge.
Okay.
So I worked. I could not get hired though. They glass ceilinged me at Wells Fargo. My boss kept telling me that she was not letting me get hired on purpose because I was making her too much money.
Yeah.
And I was only making hourly. I wasn't bonusing.
Yeah.
So I was working 60 hours a week, closing 50 loans a month, had 130 in my pipeline. And it was the best of times because I got introduced to mortgage, but it was the worst of times because I got so frustrated that I couldn't get hired on that I actually quit mortgage.
Yeah.
And I went to school, got my degree in business at Bethel in organizational leadership, and got a job a salary job at Ameriprise, which was a great company.
Yep.
But I was bored.
What were you doing for them?
It was kind of collections sort of, but like front end more stuff, just various account management when they had a bank, Ameriprise Bank. But everybody there just was there to 9 to 5 and go home, and I just couldn't get motivated. I did my job in 4 hours, and I'd watch Netflix the rest of the day. Nobody could give me enough work to do.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to get back into mortgage.
So 2008 mortgage collapsed. Were you in the industry at that time as well?
Yeah, yep, I was, and started bouncing from different mortgage company to different mortgage company based on volume, but I just kept getting laid off from retail over and over again, and then I joined Edge in 2017, I think, or 2018. So around 2015, I got hired on by Bank of America. It was a refi shop, and that's where I met Bridget at Edge, and her and I were 1 and 2 every month, and I loved that place. That was really fun, but the rates went up. They laid off the whole branch. In fact, Bank of America closed like 30 branches across the country. Yeah, and that was really hard. And then and then I was just looking for jobs, and I happened to notice that Bridget was here, and applied. I saw the only job that Edge has ever listed for a processor on Indeed. I was the guy that got the job.
I like to hear that. Yeah.
They've never hired.
No, we normally don't. I mean, so many people are looking for that position right now, especially here because, one, processing is a value add for us, right? We make $0 off of processing, yet a lot of our originators will come to us when there's problems with processing and say, hey, this doesn't happen with you, but hey, Blake hasn't answered my call in a day. what's going on? I need to make this is a corporate processor. Like, it is, but understand that our corporate processors are incentivized 100%, right? Meaning you are just like the originator. You only get paid if the loan closes, and your job is to make sure that you're creating a good enough experience that loan officer wants to continue using you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2018, you came and joined us. You joined before your wife?
Yes.
Shortly, though, right? It wasn't too long after?
Year and a half.
Okay.
So I started dating her about my 3rd month here. And I was in the office in Edina. And I was just talking about how good things were going with Wendy. And, we got married within less than a year after dating. And,
Yeah.
And, I'm doing well. Edge creates an opportunity as a processor that I can make more than I've ever made anywhere else.
Yes.
If you're driven.
It's unlimited.
Yes.
I mean, truthfully, because you can create.
Yeah.
I tried to talk with some of our team members about this, but you want to be an LOA, you want to be a processor, or do you want to build out anything to where if there's a service it's needed and you're willing to do it and do a great job at it and have the organizational skills, which cool to hear that you went to Bethel for that. That's really neat. You can grow as much as you want. I've seen it done with even, obviously, Kelly has been my processor for almost since the start of Edge. But now she's brought on, I think, roughly 11 other processors underneath her.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, full flexibility to me. Like, I don't like people being in a position of stagnant growth, right? You hear about it, like, even when you were at Wells Fargo, how you mentioned you'd work 60 hours a week. And, the only reward at that point was you did a good job.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. Not the fact to where it's unlimited earning potential, unlimited ability to make decisions and do things that you see fit. So now you got Wendy, you got your wife working here. I know that she's one of your main people. How many other LOs are you working with at Edge?
Probably about 5. I've backed down a little bit
Yep.
to try to help Wendy with the whole, we're a team. So I've backed down a little bit with how many I have. So really it's Wendy, Thomas Holloway, and I got about 3 or 4 others.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, Thomas is an amazing guy as well, too. I got the pleasure to really chat with him a little bit more, and it's just fun. It's one part I love about this job is getting a chance to talk with our team members and hear their stories about what it is, one, that they love about our industry, especially working in the industry here at Edge, but what they actually, what drives them, right? For you, I know with Wendy right now, I think I have a pretty clear picture of what drives her. She's just an amazing person, works hard. You guys just bought a home in Florida, so you're now moving to Florida, which is really smart, by the way.
7 months a year.
Yeah,
Yep.
6 months in one day.
3 days.
3 days.
Yep.
Man, I'm about 4 or 5 years behind you on that one.
163 is what Minnesota requires, I believe.
What would you say drives you, though? Like, what is the reason, like, when you get up in the morning, to me, I think the people that are successful in this industry actually look forward to their job, right? One, are you that person? And if you are, what are the things that, like, drives you that you really like about this industry?
Definitely just I love that Edge creates an opportunity you can get paid for what you're worth, and the harder you work, the more you get paid, and you're in control of your own destiny. I feel like processors get labeled as this, almost like an assistant. I hand it off and then you're done and you go. Where for me, I always try to be more of a partner. So for me, I have LOs calling me with scenarios. I have LOs calling me with, if the DTI is too high, we get together, we collaborate. What can we do? What are some thoughts? Or if I really like this lender, I'll tell all my LOs, hey, I've been using Florida Capital, for example. And they're like, who's Florida Capital? I'm like, oh, let me tell you. And,
yes.
And then all of a sudden they're all using them and they're happy. And so I feel like that's what I bring a little bit more. And so that just feeling like I'm more than just this desk jockey that's just sitting there doing my job and leaving every day makes me,
feel valuable, right?
Yeah,
To me, I think that's key. Being able to help your LOs problem solve and really understanding how the operations work is your guys' strong suit. I say your guys, like those that are working in the processing field, like, if they're, hey, do we have closing issues? Do we have underwriter issues? Like, you guys are the front lines to be able to know not only who's doing it good and who's not doing it good, right?
Right. Yeah. It's I love that. I love being able to feel more than just a processor.
So your goal on a monthly basis, like, for when I was only originating and that was my only goal, my goal was to be at 10 million a month in production, right? Do you have personal goals for your business? Like as a processor, what are the goals that you're setting for yourself every month?
So it's changed as my career has gone through. I mean, my goal always was number one. Like I told Nick when he hired me, I said, you'll never give me too much business. And he goes, yes, I will. And he did. But I've never been that challenged before. Yeah. So my goal was always number one. My goal was to hit 50 a month. I'd work 90 hours a week, wake up, go to sleep 7 days a week. That was my goal when I was younger. Made a ton of money, and now we have 4 homes now. So that was my goal. Now my goal, the more, Wendy and I have been married almost 5 years now, and she has no idea. She probably doesn't want me to say this, but she has no idea how far she can go. And so my goal now is to free up her time.
Yeah.
And the more I can free that time up, the better our household will do, because she's incredible, and I do not want her to be stuck in the computer all day. That is a disservice to our household.
Yeah.
And to her. So that is my goal. It's not. I need to find a way to measure that. Maybe it's her own growth, just her own numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's really shifted as the rates have been a little higher. She's really shifted her business into a lot. We do a lot of like condos and things in Florida and things like that. And she's incredible, but she needs to be able to have the time to do the incredible things. If that makes sense.
It does. I think it's knowing your role, right? I mean, your role is to make the loan officer's job easier to where you're a partner, right? And I think you hit on it. Like, I don't know. It's like somebody give them a title of office manager or secretary. I know I served on a committee one time and they asked me to be a secretary. And at first I was like, secretary? I'm not going to be freaking secretary. But then it's like, well, wait a minute. It's a role that's needed, and I'm going to dominate it, right? I'm going to do great at it and try my best, because find out where your skill set is. You obviously have a skill set, which I think is organization, right? You even went to school for it, and ability to communicate with clients. And I'm excited to see what you and Wendy continue to grow together. Now, for a lot of our originators, they get the choice, right? It's choice. Do you want to use a third-party processor, corporate processor, which is what you're labeled as, or just process it on their own? For those that are maybe using a different avenue for their processing, what would your opinion be, and why do you think using you or a corporate processor is better?
Well, I know most of the corporate processors at Edge, and I can speak that they are another level of caliber as far as just skill set, knowledge base, experience. I think they just did a spreadsheet of everybody, and almost everyone had 10 plus years of experience. So I really feel just like Edge is the varsity for LOs, I feel like it's that way for corporate processing as well. And so I think you get experience, but you also get accountability. Because if we're screwing up, even a little bit, you or everybody is going to be like, hey, this is how our standard of our corporate processing is, and we expect that of you. And then you get paid well for it too. So, and I also think too that it's just, we're driven, we're part of the Edge. So we feel the culture of Edge, and I don't think if third-party processing, I know there's good ones out there. There's lots of them. People love them. But I don't feel like, since they're not working for Edge, they're not on the same team.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
That's why I've never used third-party processing.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I see the advantage, especially for LOs in a state where maybe their loan amounts are lower and they need to from a revenue standpoint. But, I would imagine Wendy, since we damn near live, a couple of miles away from each other, our average loan size here is like 380, right?
I would say so.
Yeah, and there's really, there's plenty of revenue to be generated to where if we can have a team member compared to an outside team member, like a third party, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and we do about half our business, I would say, outside of Minnesota. Yeah. She's in, I think, 14 states. And with this Florida venture that we're diving into, we have a lot more realtors that we've talked to down there and stuff. So I think, and all of her recruits are not in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Which is another example of how she can just do incredible things. She just calls people and they love her. That's how it was with Thomas.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
he
she
just
did.
didn't
She
even
did
know why
the
he answered
work.
the
I
phone.
mean, that's the biggest differentiator for a lot of people is actually doing the work, right? What is the one thing that you see loan officers? You know, as a processor, you're getting ready to see the difference between somebody that is, I hate to use the word good and bad, but I'm just going to be transparent with this. What is the differentiator you see between a good originator and one that maybe, you know, doesn't give a good experience? Like, you know, we've had to let people go before because they're constantly getting complaints, right? Or, you know, somebody's missing closing dates consistently. You're the one a lot of times just getting thrown into the mix. Tell me what you see as far as what separates someone from being okay at their job to being amazing when it comes to loan originators.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is just drive to be better, drive to communicate. I think that's the biggest thing that jumps out, but also just the basics, clean 1003, job history, employment history, those kinds of things. You know, I know the experienced loan officers don't get surprised. You know, when something comes up in underwriting, they already know it's going to happen, or they've prepared so it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And in the newer LOs I've worked with, sometimes, it's very reactionary versus planning ahead. So that's a big thing I think I notice. But in a perfect world, it should be a smooth handoff, and they trust me to just run to the finish line. And if something comes up, low appraisal or something, maybe I'll get them involved. But if I have to get them involved and there's not a problem, it's because they didn't scrub the file up front the way they should have.
Yeah.
So I think that's really it. I mean, it should be a nice little gift, a nice little bow that you give to the
100%.
processor.
Like it's ready to be submitted.
Right.
Right? I mean, minus title and HOI and things like that. But that's a good point. I was, why I love doing these, I'm always inquisitive myself. Like, what do you see as the big factor? And I think you hit it on the head. Like, if I get a file that something comes out and like, yeah, kind of knew that they might ask for the proof of the IRS payment because I know it was on his taxes and we're not showing it, or like knowing how to, I don't want to say predict, but not being blindsided.
Yes.
Right. That's really good insight. Well, I think you're first or second processor on this show, right? Do we have Kelly yet?
Yeah.
Okay, you're number 2.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that you're competitive for units. I never thought about that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm big on competitiveness, right? So we have loan officer tracking, we have recruiting tracking. I think after our meeting today, I'm going to add processor tracking.
Okay.
Right? Even though for me, I've never tried to push people to be, you know, from the processing side because, as I mentioned, we're not like, I don't know how to say it. It's an a la carte service, right? It's like me pushing our health insurance company to sell more insurance. I don't.
Right.
But I really like that idea. And I think you're going to see that added to the knowledge coop here soon to where we can create a little bit more competition and make sure, not that you need to get back to working 60, 70 hours a week. Because I think at our stage in life, like work-life balance is key. Right?
Yeah. Well, and Wendy came to me a couple of weeks ago and said, you know, when you have this high volume, no matter how great you are, you're still not even getting to her files until maybe a day later, and that is hurting our brand.
Yeah.
And when she put it that way, it really that's why I was like, okay, I need to cut down, because yes, I make more money when I close more loans, but not loan officer money.
Yes.
You know, so that it's not doing me a
no, it's pretty transparent. I mean, we all, for all of us, it's kind of clear what somebody makes or doesn't make, right? I mean, it's, what would you say is the amount in which you want to be at as far as like units? How many loans is a good number for you? And does it also matter who those loans are with?
Yes. So another advantage of being a good processor at Edge is when I first started and I had such a plethora of loan officers that wanted to use me and so many loans, if I wasn't a good fit, and it doesn't mean they're bad loan officers, it just maybe they did, excuse me, they did like, let's say all non-QM or all 500 credit scores or something that would take me 2 or 3 times longer to do.
Yep.
I would eventually just say, hey, I'm at capacity. I can't handle working with this many loans, and that's true because they were taking away from my more cookie cutter loans. So Right now in my life, I'd say it's probably 10 to 15 a month.
Yeah.
Is my number.
Yep.
And it's easy to get to those with like Wendy and Thomas
Yes.
combined
Yeah.
and a few others. But when I was really hitting it, I think I really liked the 30 number.
I like the 30 number too for you.
That was some good money.
It was, but
Yeah.
hard work and a lot of sacrifice. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, one of the biggest attributes to a good processor, in my opinion, is someone who doesn't make excuses.
Mm-hmm.
If it's, today's Tuesday, if I have a closing today at 7 p.m. and we're pushing hard and, it's not clock out at 5 and go home. I'm still going to be on my phone. I'm still going to be available.
Oh, yeah.
It's really availability to where it shows that you care, right? Not that I want to have somebody working 24/7,
Right.
but at the same time, if we have a file closing in the morning, for example, and we have some people on the West Coast, then guess what? You better get up early to make sure that you're making that phone call. And I don't want to have to tell someone that, right? I think that's what separates people like you and a lot of our processing team from those that are average, right? No one has to tell you the importance of it. You understand the importance of it.
Oh yeah, I'm on my phone all the time, making sure that I'm on top of stuff, and it's my business too.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, I'm also basically self-employed.
100%.
So I have a huge vested interest in the success of that customer's loan, and I don't know if a lot of people think that way, but.
I like it. I think that's a winning mindset. Well,
Yeah.
Blake, I appreciate you being here today. I know you don't live too far away, so it wasn't that long of a travel for you, but I know that you are busy. Appreciate you. Appreciate your wife as well. Your whole family. You guys are good people. I think that you help keep the brand that we have, which is just people that really care, trying to be the best that they can be to serve customers at a level that earns the reputation that we have. So appreciate that. Appreciate you. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Before you leave, can I do one more thing?
Of course.
Today is a special day for you, right?
It is a special.
It's your birthday?
It is my birthday.
I have a little present for you.
Uh-oh. We got a surprise on this. Hey.
What does it say on there?
The old granddad.
There you go.
I like the good old
Happy
Kentucky
birthday.
straight bourbon whiskey. Appreciate it, brother.
Happy birthday.
Is that 114 proof? Watch out.
Yeah. Hey, you do so much for so many people, but especially processing. You've helped me out in a lot of different things, and Kelly as well. When I first started Edge, she was my little go-to person. Her and Fred Rogers, and Bridget. So I appreciate everybody. The team atmosphere here is just.
That's what it's about. I talked to an LO this morning. It was like, well, the person told me not to call you because you couldn't help. And I'm like, well, do me a favor. Don't ever listen to that person ever again, because I'll have this issue fixed for you in 1 hour. I promise you. But it's if it makes sense and I can help, I want to. I asked you what drives you. What drives me is just I like helping people, right? I mean, I really do. It's not even when I was closing 60 loans a month, it wasn't like I was shooting for 60 loans a month.
Right.
I want to help people. And when we're in a spot with Edge to where I know my rates are lower, I know my cost is lower, I almost feel bad for people if they don't use us. Like, I really do. Like, you're getting taken advantage of. It's just like if I was to look and buy a new car and one place is selling it for $65,000 and I'm selling it for $50,000, what am I missing?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not real big on the fluff of trying to say, like, I have relationships with people, but I think they're authentic. And my value proposition's real. So I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate you getting me a little bottle of whiskey for my birthday.
Absolutely.
Like I said, thanks again for everything that you do. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in on my special birthday, turning 43 today, which I'm excited about. It was really cool. Jake, thank you. We did a cool video with my wife and a couple other people. But, I love it here. I love Edge. I love the family that we have. And I wake up every day excited to come to work, to be around great people like you guys and those that are here watching. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.